Hello all, we have with us today for the PASSHE Get Hired virtual recruitment session, Barbara Dean, who comes to us recruiting for Lower Kuskokwim School District in Bethel, Alaska. So I'm going to allow Barbara to give a little more of an introduction of herself, and then she has a presentation she'd like to share with us today. Thanks for being with us, Barbara.
Oh, you're welcome. As you heard, my name's Barb Dean. I work for Lower Kuskokwim School District. I moved to Alaska in 1977 before phones and televisions for 2 years. I told my husband 2 years, and I ended up staying 35 years. I am now retired, but they like us retired people to do the recruiting because we know what we're talking about. So if you come up with any questions, please let me know and I'll try to answer them. Right now, I'm going to start out with a screen share so you can see what I'm talking about, because that is the first thing people want to know is what are you talking about? So when you first come to Alaska, you're thinking, oh, we're just a little up here in the corner, but we show this map to show how big Alaska is actually over the lower 48, or we call down below. When you first arrive in Alaska, you're typically going to land in Anchorage. The red is the road system where you can get in a car and drive. There's actually a road down here too. That's all that you can drive. The rest of Alaska we call Bush, Alaska, and there's tons and tons of villages out there. I'm going to just talk about my part of the state. So from Anchorage, you're going to travel by jet out to Bethel, our hub city. And from in that circle right there is my school district, Lower Kuskokwim School District, and we call it LKSD for short. Within that district, we have 28 schools. Now, this circle right here is the size of the state of West Virginia. So if you wrap your head around West Virginia and 28 schools, that describes us. So we're a huge landmass. And in fact, to fly from Bethel out to the islands about an hour flight. You're going to travel Bethel, in the hub city of Bethel, we have 5 schools. We have a primary, middle elementary, a 712 building, a UPIC immersion school, and an alternative school. Those 5 schools form a K-12. We have a different structure than in the lower 48. Each of the other 23 schools are all K-12 schools. They're in a village, they're K-12, there's a separate little community for each one. Those K-12 schools, along with the 5 Bethel schools, form one school district. To get to them, you're going to fly in these small planes, okay, out to your village site. We are on the Kuskokwim Delta, hence our name, and these are pictures of the villages. They're all along water for food and transportation. So here's winter, here's a different village, spring and summer. Along the coast, we do have mountains. This is along the ocean coast. And we have spectacular sunrises, sunsets, and beautiful, beautiful northern lights in our area. So when you first come to our part of our neck of the woods, so to speak, you're going to land in the big city village of Bethel. Bethel has about 6,500 people and several employment opportunities. But the 3 major employers are the airport, the Kuskokwim Health Corporation. There's about 1,500 employees at the hospital. That hospital has a clinic in each of the villages where our schools are. It is also connected to the main hospital in Anchorage. Interesting enough, in Bethel, we have about 13 miles of paved road. Goes in a circle, you're not going to go anywhere else. Remember, no road system. But Bethel is the only place where we may cancel school for snow or ice because we're busing kids in Bethel. In the villages, we don't do that. Okay, we don't need to. It's all walkable. In Bethel, you're probably going to want a car. Also in Bethel are several stores, even box stores, kind of like mini Costco's. There's a farmer who has figured out how to grow beautiful produce on the tundra. We have, like I told you, the 5 schools. This is the high school where I was principal. Okay, we have several restaurants, several churches. We have a University of Alaska Extension campus, and this is the cultural center there. Okay. Also, our school district is the 3rd main employer, and it is housed here in Bethel. We'll talk a little bit more about living between Bethel and the villages, of the contrast of them. So the main thing is to know about Bethel is that it is expensive to live there, and we don't subsidize housing. In the villages, we subsidize housing. So when you go out to the village, you don't need a car. It's all walkable. You either have boardwalks or runways, gravel roads like the runways. And if you need to haul stuff, the school has vehicles to help you, or people in the village just help you. That's the way of the Yupik culture. So our primary language and culture in our region is Yupik. We're part of the central Yupik area of the state. All right, every village has a post office. Every village has a store. Okay. So you're not gonna run out of goods, but most people use Amazon Prime to get your groceries. Free shipping, go figure. So the most expensive way would be at the store, but the store is the center of kind of the community, and it's a good social thing. I always make sure I visit the store when I go to town, but I don't live solely out of that store. Prime is going to deliver not in 2 days. That would be a wonderful accident. Probably it's going to take 1 to 2 weeks for stuff to get there. So you have to plan ahead. These beautiful rivers I talked about, this is taken from the steps of a Malthlick school. A set net is set out for catching salmon for subsistence that day. But those same rivers could back up, be just totally ugly, and block the river and cause flooding. That might be a reason for canceling school. This is the flood line on the side of Oscarville School. Flooding doesn't happen every year, doesn't even happen in every village. This year we had one village that flooded, and that was it. And if you notice, everything's on stilts. It goes under the buildings, not into your buildings, but we don't want kids walking to school in icy water on the gravel roads or boardwalks, so we're going to cancel school for that reason. Snowstorms, like I said, Bethel's going to cancel for snowstorms, but because of the busing. In the villages, typically they may delay school. So our short days in the winter run from about 10 to 2. So they may delay school until about 10 o'clock so that the young kids can get to school safely, but they're not going to cancel for it. Now, conversely, just think of this while I'm talking about length of days. Today, the sun rises at 5:16 a.m. and it won't set until after midnight at 12:16 a.m. tomorrow. So there's lots of daylight right now. It just is got a big contrast to what we know down here, down below. The other unique thing about our area is that our villages are typically one church villages. That is because when the state of Alaska was purchased by the United States from Russia, the churches divided up the villages. In my little mind, I think they just said, we don't want to compete with each other, let's just pick up and choose. And that's what it is. In our area, the main churches are Russian Orthodox, Moravian, and Catholic. And the reason we bring that up is because the Russian Orthodox Christmas is January 7th and Russian Orthodox New Year's is January 14th, which means in that village, the advisory school board may pick a 3-week Christmas break rather than the typical 2 weeks. So you may have a 3-week Christmas break and maybe a 4-day spring break weekend in that village, as opposed to what you know down here, typically it's 2 weeks at Christmas and 1 week spring break. There are no strong religious lines. There's not any bickering between that. And because my grandma may live in Russian Orthodox, I live in a Catholic, and my cousin's a Moravian, we just all do everything together. So there's not breaks as far as religious lines. The lifestyle in the village, compared to Bethel. In Bethel, they still are subsistence livers, the Yupik people, but there's also lots of other commerce, from the airlines, the college, the stores, the restaurants. There's fish and wildlife, fish and game there because it's a hub city. In the villages, the main employer is the school. Other jobs exist, but it might be one person at the water treatment plant, one person at the city hall, a person at the clinic. So we are the main employer. The lifestyle of the Yupik people in our area is subsistence and their food gathering. So the foods you can gather in our area are salmon, lots and lots of salmon, yummy. You can get halibut along the coast. You can hunt moose and caribou. If you get a lottery ticket, you can also hunt muskox out in the Nelson Island group. You can also hunt ducks, geese, swan, and ptarmigan. People go out berry picking for blueberries, cranberries, both high and low bush cranberries, huckleberries, and a salmonberry in the summertime, and a crowberry, which they call a blackberry. All of those are even part of our curriculum, because our curriculum is a dual language curriculum and incorporates the lifestyle and culture of the Yupik people. Berry picking is part of the elementary curriculum, food gathering. So you'll see kids going out the school door with their berry buckets, going to get berries. We serve salmon at lunch. We try to incorporate as much of the culture as we can within the curriculum. Okay, people also still hunt seal and walrus in our area. They use all parts of it. As a non-Alaska Native, you cannot, but they're certainly happy to tell you about it and give you taste. The women go collect grasses for insulation and basket making. Okay, so what's it look like in the village? This is one of our newer schools. Okay. And that's in Kuskokwim. All of our schools are new or newly remodeled in the last 20 years. They're very high tech and they're very nice. In all of our schools, we have running water flush toilets for people. And we're gonna go talk about toilets a little bit in a little bit, but that's good to know. And we also have a backup for teachers of a toilet, shower, and laundry in case there's a freeze up in the housing. Again, notice the schools are even on stilts. Everything's up off the ground because of permafrost and possible flooding. So teacher housing might be old schools that are remodeled into apartments, or we have duplexes, single family units, and now we're building fourplexes. Okay. In the villages, we subsidize housing. So your rent could be $700 to $900. If you're sharing it, it's gonna be half. So if you're in a 2-bedroom and you're sharing the apartment, it's gonna be half of that. And we pay all the utilities, which is a big deal in Alaska. So you don't have any bill for heating, electricity, water, and sewer. We're gonna take care of it, and the maintenance. It's our housing and we want to take care of it for you. That's a really big deal in Alaska. Your other expense is going to be your television, your cell phone. Currently, now in 2020, the two cell phone services are Verizon and GCI. So if you have something else, it's not going to work there. And if you want internet at the house, you'll have to get that on your own. Most staff use the internet at the school because you live maybe a college gym away from the school as far as walking. It's very close by. You don't have to go very far. And I'll tell you, most young people just go over to the school to use it. And that's fine with us. Okay, so what's it look like in the schools as far as technology? Well, I'll go ahead with this. We give you a laptop and a desktop. We have one-to-one computers for our students in junior high and high school. We have laptops, iPads, and other devices for elementary school kids to use with the smart boards in the classroom and other devices. We are a STEM-based district. We're very focused on kids having upper level learning opportunities, and they do. We graduate kids who are engineers now at the Donlin Creek Gold Mine. When that one opens, it'll be the largest in the North American continent. So we're very focused on supporting kids and their interests if they want to go the academic route. Well, like I said, we have running water flush toilets in the school. So we're going to go back and talk about toilets and toilet situations. This is kind of unusual for employment, but necessary for us. In the villages, you have such things as running water flush toilets like you know it here. Only your pipes are underground in the lower 48. Our pipes are above ground because we're on the permafrost. Okay. We also have a flush hall system, which is water, 2 tanks outside your house, one for refuse, one for fresh water. Trucks come and go and deliver. In the village, we pay for that. In Bethel, you have to pay for that. Okay. So in the villages, that's gonna be, we call that flush hall or delivered water. Inside your house, it still acts like running water flush toilet. We also have delivered water and Incinellet. So an Incinellet is a toilet that looks like a toilet. Before you use it, you put in a paper insert. When you get done, you flush the toilet, the bowl opens up and drops your waste to an incinerator where it's burnt to ash. Okay. Then you empty ashes as needed. And the 4th kind in the villages is a honey bucket. We still have 5 houses there in the village that's relocating. That's the white bucket, toilet seat, and dumping stations. Okay. So that's my toilet talk. We have tons of activities for kids. We have volleyball, cross-country running, wrestling, basketball. We have 2 seasons of Native Youth Olympics. This is one event. Those events are based on traditional hunting and fishing practices, and their gains of skill and strength. It's awesome. If you come there, you should take advantage of participating or helping with it. We like for teachers to know about it because our board requires certified teachers to travel with students. So here's a team right here. He's from Michigan. She's an elementary teacher. They're standing with kids on the runway at Mouthlook. I took this picture, waiting for their plane to come so they can go to a cross-country meet. Remember, no busing, so they have to hop planes to go to their meets. We also like to balance our athletic activities with academics. So we have things like the LKSD UPIC Dance Festival sponsored by our school board. We also have LKSD Arts and Activities. We have a film arts class for our students to participate in. We also have speech meets in both languages, dual language being Yucatan and English. We also have Battle of the Books, Spelling Bees, Geography Bees, student government. So there's a variety to try to balance academic and athletic activities. All right, I'm going to put up the teacher benefit page for you right here. This is for this year. It's under negotiation. Starting teachers will be at $52,999. We this year only, only this year because of COVID, we have a $7,000 signing bonus. Previous to that, it was $3,000. You sign for 1 year at a time. If you don't come back the second year, we'll ask for half of it back. That's what the 2-year means. We know most of your expenses are up front, so we give both bonuses, year 1 and year 2, all at the beginning. And if you choose not to come back, we're going to ask for it back. We have great medical and dental and vision. Currently, no co-pays for it. There is full family available. Like I told you, the housing $700 to $900 a month. For rent, we cover all the utilities, and they're furnished with basic furnishings. Okay, in Bethel, your rent's going to be $1,500 to $2,000, and you pay utilities. We don't subsidize there. So to live in Bethel, we tell you you need a dual income household. Then it's affordable. Okay. Every year, every teacher gets a ticket from Anchorage to your work site, wherever that is, round trip. We provide instructional coaches or mentors for our first year and second year teachers. We have for all teachers 10 professional development days. And for new to our district, we have 5 additional days for cultural understanding and learning the curriculum. The second year, there's 3 additional days for our second year teachers. And we're going to offer financial support to you for your continued interest in education. If you want to go to admin after 3 successful years, you can apply to our program. We're going to pay for it and provide your internship. Okay. This year, we're also paying for endorsements in math, science, and special ed. Small class sizes, 15 would be a large one. It might be multi-age. In Bethel, it's going to be 25, but in the village, 15 would be a good size class. We already talked about the technology. Down here, the $150, we pay for everything for your classroom. We don't want you to use your paycheck for that, but we also give an additional $150 for you to self-select. If you're out traveling, want to buy it, keep the receipts, we're going to reimburse. The good thing is we don't have a state income tax. We don't have a state sales tax. You do have to pay the federal tax for sure. And this last one is money from the oil revenues, the PFDs. You don't qualify it for the first year, but the second year you may if you establish residency. But the thing to know about that is every man, woman, and child gets that check. It's usually around $1,000 a year, give or take. And that comes out in September. And they are all kinds of sales, like your airfare sales. So that's a way to save money, is to wait and buy your big ticket things when the businesses are offering sales. Okay, here's my business card up here. If I was seeing you face to face, I would offer it. If you want to go ahead and screenshot it, the top number is my cell number if you need to reach me. I'm going to stop the screen share and see if there were any questions or follow-up to that. If not, I can tell you the jobs that we're looking for right now in the spring here we're still looking for elementary teachers. We have about 4 positions open still in math and or science. We're looking for special ed teachers, as the rest of the United States, we are too. 1 art teacher, which is kind of unusual, and I'm looking for 1 music teacher and 1 social worker. So school social worker. We have a MSW department that works within our school district. So those are what are open. I'd love to hear from you. And even if you don't hear one of those listed, reach out to me. We might have something turn up. Okay.
Barbara, thank you so much for spending time with us today and for sharing all of that wonderful information. Looks like an incredible opportunity and life experience. I will ask you one final question. What one piece of information would you like to leave with everybody today?
Well, people ask why I went for 2 years and stayed 35. And I think the most important thing to know is I loved living within the Yupik culture. They're embracing, welcoming people. It was every day interesting. I learned as much as my students did from me. But it's basically the Yupik people that kept me there. I didn't move around Alaska. It's not to say the rest of Alaska doesn't have good people, but I love the culture there.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.